Picture this. You just graduated from high school in California and you got a full-time job too. You're ready to start your life and now it's time for you to move out and buy your first home. However, there is one issue. You can't afford a single apartment or house in California, at least habitable ones. You're working hard every day on average 40 hours a week, and yet still around nearly half your paycheck is going into rent before you can even think about going to college, buying something expensive, or just saving up for the future. For many young adults in California, this is a reality. California's housing crisis has become one of the biggest financial problems that many Californians, with the majority of them being young adults, are dealing with today. In April 2024, the California Association of Realtors stated that April's statewide median home price was $904,210, an increase of 11.4%. Housing prices continue to rise, mainly because California does not meet the housing supply and demand. Not enough houses are being built, so the prices of housing are increased. The Public Policy Institute of California supports this idea and said, the underlying problem is that California is a relatively wealthy state that has underbuilt housing for decades. Because of this, young Californians are given the option to pay high rent and be unable to afford college education, or leave the state and live somewhere else. Some people argue that building more housing in California will ruin neighborhoods with traffic, extreme urbanization, and lowered property values. This mindset is called NIMBYism, or not in my backyard. While these statements seem reasonable, preventing the construction of new housing also makes the housing crisis worsen by the day. Another cause of California's housing crisis are the restrictive zoning policies and laws, increasing costs by preventing construction of new housing. A journal storage study shows that caps on development and restrictive zoning have all been associated with increased housing prices. If the California housing crisis was caused by decades of underbuilding and restrictive zoning laws, then constructing more housing could help young adults afford a normal life in California. More controlled and responsible construction of apartments, condos, and townhomes near public transport hubs would satisfy demands for affordable housing. It would also meet the demands of NIMBYists by not causing traffic and avoiding urbanization through sudden construction of skyscrapers and massive housing units. Local city governments should also pass new policies to make it easier and faster to construct new buildings. Many construction projects are delayed or in legal battle due to public conflicts, so creating policies to bypass those conflicts in times of need for housing would help build more houses and lower housing costs. People argue that building more houses and passing policies will not immediately fix the California housing crisis, and it is true that it will take time to start these projects, but continuing to pause construction entirely will only continue to worsen the crisis and force more young adults out of California. If California balances responsible development while following community concerns, the crisis can be resolved, and young and future generations can manage financial responsibilities as easily as any other state. Now, picture this. You just graduated from high school. You got a full-time job, and it's time for you to buy your first home. But instead of spending half of your paycheck on rent, you spent a reasonable amount and can enjoy living in California. You're saving money for college, bought brand new furniture, and you can buy wanted amenities, all while not having to worry about housing costs. You live in a new condo outside of a metro station. You don't even have to deal with buying a car, as the metro connects to your work. The metro isn't full of homeless, as new cheaper housing allows them to live normal lives, all while more people move in and the economy improves by the day. This is what a California that built more affordable and responsible housing looks like. This idea can become reality, but it purely depends on the decision California and its people make today. We cannot ignore the housing crisis until it eventually won't allow any young adults to live in California. Start engaging in the community and pay attention to the zoning decisions made in your city by attending city meetings or voting on council polls when able. Support leaders or ideas that promote responsible housing development. California cannot continue to put construction projects in limbo while also expecting the housing crisis to fix itself. One person trying to help the crisis is not enough. Tell your friends, family, colleagues, or anyone about taking action on the housing crisis through voting or starting community polls, as it will eventually reach statewide debate. The more support for a solution and the more popularity it has, the higher chance it has to become a reality. If California balances community concerns with the need for more housing and solving outdated zoning policies, future generations can live in California with the opportunity to have a normal life. California's history was shaped by the people searching for opportunity. Its future shouldn't depend on if people can afford to find it.